December the 5th, 2021. Welcome one and all, members, guests alike, to the Susquehanna Valley Ethical Society, or as we refer to ourselves as the Valley. We are so happy to see everyone here today and thankful that you will join us for today's platform. With that said, we hope that the coming week will be filled with happiness, love, and joy.
Thank you, Mike. I also would like to say to our visitors, if you would like to receive Valley news or further information from us, please provide your contact information in the chat feature found at the bottom of your screen. The Susquehanna Valley Ethical Society is a community of all walks of life that learns and grows together through shared values, doing good, and nurturing the human spirit. We are a safe and courageous place in which members can build a community of friends, find inspiration and purpose, provide moral education for their children, celebrate seasons and life events, and clarify their world views. A few announcements as we begin this afternoon. I would like to first say that our SEEK class, which is our Children's Secular Ethical Education for Kids program, is outside. And they're going to be talking about immigration. The story Mama's Nightingale is going to be read. It's a story of immigration and separation. And the children will discuss the story. They're going to learn more about immigration and immigration policies. I want to thank all of you who gave to SVES during Giving Tuesday, which was this past Tuesday. $538 came into our society, which is fantastic. It feels so good to know that so many support SVES and our programs, and we hope to be able to, using much of these funds for our children and youth programs that we have started and will continue through 2022. On Monday evening, December 6th at 7 o'clock, we will have an Ethical Action Committee meeting. All are welcome to attend. Contact us at info@susquehannavalleyethicalsociety.org, and we will send you a link to attend that Zoom meeting. On Thursday, December 9th, the Ethical Action team will be delivering stuffed critters to children living at Haven Ministries Homeless Shelter. Haven's Homeless Shelter is one of the organizations that we team with and work at assisting them throughout the year. On Sunday, December 12th, next Sunday, we have a very special guest who will be with Jay that afternoon. Justice Renee, I think I pronounced that correctly. If not, let me know, Jay. Justice will be, talk will be Sincerity of Shadows. Justice was born trans female, raised in a very fundamentalist, non-denominational home. She was taught through shame to hate her trans identity. Due to a myriad of reasons, Justice re-examined her belief system over a period of 7 years, ending with leaving that church. She opened to her partner about her gender issues in 2019 and transitioned in 2020. Justice shares her story with others to give hope and move communities forward. She has found freedom in acceptance and a path forward from the hate. So we are really excited that we're going to have Justice speaking with us next Sunday. And mark your calendars. Sunday, December 19th, we will celebrate our winter solstice. This event will be outdoors, in person. It will begin at 4:30 in the afternoon. We'll have music. We'll have also some sharing of some readings appropriate for the solstice season. And approximately around 5 o'clock, we're going to have a lantern walk throughout the town of Lewisburg. And the children will be making lanterns next Sunday that they will carry as we walk through downtown Lewisburg. So we welcome everyone to join us. We will not be, of course, doing a virtual presence for that event. We're closed on December 26th and January 2nd, but we will be back Sunday, January 9th, and we're hoping to return as a hybrid program, meaning we'll be in person as well as having a virtual presence. So Jay will help us work through how that will happen. And now I would like to move to our meditative moment, why we meet, and our affirmation. Anthony.
Thank you, Patty. Here at the Valley, we meet to deepen our sense of the meaningfulness of life, to shine light on the ideas with which we guide our choices, to give us courage to take the higher path, and to get to know one another over time in appreciation of each one's unique and incompatible worth. And together, we work for a world where love and justice cross all borders. Our statement of affirmation as the Valley is that we affirm the worth, dignity, and uniqueness of every human being.
Thank you, Anthony. It always puts me in a very calming space when I hear your words. And I want to welcome Lindsey with us this afternoon. Lindsey has a piece of music that she is going to be sharing with us. Welcome, Lindsey.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Great to be back in the Valley. This song that I'm going to do for you is called The End of the Tunnel, representing the light, going from darkness into light. And thank you for your listening ear. Here we go. I saw a light at the end of the tunnel, but I couldn't see the train. I felt the rumbling under my feet, the wind in my hair. I saw a light at the end of the tunnel, but I wasn't scared, for it was you at the end of the tunnel. Baby, I'm aware that it's you. It was you at the end of the tunnel, and I felt the love. I felt love, for I was coming home to you. I saw a light at the end of the tunnel. It was in my eyes, blinding. I made mistakes, made some bad choices that made me want to change my mind. I've been down and I've been defeated, but those lessons did me good, as they should have. Those mistakes made me learn, made me burn. Those choices did me real good, for I found truth. I found truth at the end of the tunnel, and I'm living proof. For I see the truth now, and the truth will make you free. Yeah. It did for me. Do 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 do. You can find love, you can lose love, you can cherish love, you can abuse love. But if you choose love, choose it for the right reasons. For I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. It was in my eyes. It awakened me. I made some mistakes, made some interesting choices, but they are mine. I leave them all behind, for it's me. It was me at the end of the tunnel, and I am the love. It is me, and I'm feeling satisfied. I'm feeling satisfied. Yeah. Do 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 do. The look of love is in your eyes. The look of love is in your eyes. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Lindsey. That was lovely, Lindsey. And now we have Olivia. Welcome, Olivia, this afternoon. Last Sunday, Olivia shared a beautiful piece of poetry, and I believe we're in store for another of Olivia's poems. One that you have written, Olivia.
Yes. Yes, I'm going to be writing every week. So this poem was me laying in bed. I couldn't sleep. My body wouldn't stop. And so it's about, I can have a very addictive personality, avoiding procrastinating on purpose to indulge. And addictions beyond just drugs and alcohol. We're addicted to water, we're addicted to food. Our body has chemical reactions to things, reward system. And so dealing with it, learn to not be hard on myself, but as Lindsey was saying, be truthful. And so this is a poem I wrote. It's up at like 4 a.m, my body wouldn't stop. And I wrote this instead of smoking, going outside. Okay. Me versus nicotine. I'm laying in bed, wide awake, with the vibrations of the universe squirming through my skin, calling me to action when I only wish to lay here. I'm laying in bed, restless with the tremors of nicotine withdrawal knocking on my nerves, asking for escape from responsibility. I'm laying in bed writing this because my energy must go somewhere before I can drift off into the universe. More of me is required in this plane. The day reminded me of my introversion with many conversations and holding presence. The day reminded me of why I love solitude with many tone-deaf white women. I'm exhausted, but my body has taken that as a sign to fight. I can't rest well under this dome. I can't remember to put down my phone. I'm distracted by distractions, and so I write poetic narrative in my notes, hoping one day I'll accumulate enough to gather it together in some completed form, edit it and send it on, sold. When I'm exhausted, the ideas latch onto me. They rush through my body, igniting me with time, creating energy, feeding off of me from my distractions. If I can grant hours to social media, then I must have time for the devotion, the craft. I can hear the ancestors quoting. Even after the high from the weed has crashed, I didn't even drink coffee, but I'm buzzing, unstill. But still, this is better than visuals of sex I can't have. It's dominated my mind all year, replaying pleasure and promise. Potential people put enough pep in my step, fire in my loins, and possibilities are the point. Imagination rules the day, ruminating over scenarios that might someday play again. Imagining being eaten out, flirtatious dialogue I might be too nervous to follow through with. But if I detach a little more, then I'm good for it. It's easier today than yesterday. I've worked on that flow, timing divinely orchestrated and choreographed to what's mine. I'll be fine. I'm tripping over how I'm a powerful ass person. When I step back and relax, I see the way it's all working. Maneuvering through purpose, it's worth it. The long drives through the darkness, the shadows lurking, screaming for attention. Don't let me forget to mention the loneliness when tears creep in, and there's no shoulder to reject crying on, because vulnerability doesn't always want to live here. It's worth it to see the baby steps in just 2 years, to live with gratitude in between my ears, a continual conversation with what comes in and what I release. With fear, all things are possible, but not all things need to be an obstacle. Possibility in this world is rooted in a nightmare. My dream world's protected, so my subconscious is friends with ease, release, patience, and degrees of free. I'm preparing myself to excel because my body's hardwired to prepare to fail. It's in the water, the meat, the dairy, and the veggies. The air's laid thick with a little defeat. I'm breathing clean only because tobacco can't have me. We're sharing. Rolling herbal joints in the dorm, smoking them outside just to see the moon's almost reborn. I'm joining. It's almost time for something new. The moon is a void, of course, and I'm living in space seen as untrue. The space between the notches on the clock, jumping into time that stops, pauses, exists in all this. When the opposite of truth is flawless. When I no longer cry about how long the journey through all this is, because the process reigns over the calling. I'm talking to trees through all of it, collecting knowledge, nature's calling, humble college, university of everyday conversations with the walls, my surroundings speaking out, my subconscious reaching out, the divine connection between what I am and what I'm about, colliding, embodying, and integrating without the clout. This is a solo job, ain't no prizes to give out. Just the highest recognition I can receive, a moment in bed to write while fighting nicotine.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Olivia.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Whoa.
That was amazing.
That,
It was.
yeah, here in the building, it was just stated, that was amazing.
That's-
Oh, yes.
No, yeah, I couldn't sleep. It had to come out.
Oh, boy. And I'm glad it did. So glad. And Jay, I don't know how you come in after that, but
Good luck, Jay.
good luck, Jay.
I come from, I come from a tradition where we would be like, that's it. That's it. I'll be nice. I'll keep it short. I'll say that since I know I have a job to do. But yeah. Oh. I'm grateful that I'm grateful for the work that we do here. I'm gonna say that. That's courageous stuff. Olivia, can you read that part? I don't know if you break it up into stanzas. Can you read? Go up. I'd say about 5 lines back from where you say degrees of free for us, please.
With fear, all things are possible, right there. With fear, all things are possible, but not all things need to be an obstacle. Possibility in this world is rooted in a nightmare. My dream world's protected, so my subconscious is friends with ease, release, patience, and degrees of free. I'm preparing myself to excel because my body's hardwired to prepare to fail.
Thank you. We're gonna make light out of dark situations. We're gonna make light out of dark situations. And I've had the opportunity to be reading James Baldwin. I've been having the opportunity to talk about Baldwin, and I would like to invite you to journey with me, but I would like for you to let us hold what the poet is saying. I want to hold that. I want to hold that because that's our community. That's what's important to me. Olivia has invested her gift here, so I am here for that. And I think we needed that. We need to hear that. We need to hear about our possibilities and the fact that we can sit in fear. And Baldwin particularly knows about this. If you've ever read the book Fired Next Time, I'm going to be spending time just talking about briefly in your hearing the context in chapter 1 where he writes to his nephew, James. James is named after him, and particularly in the time in which this was written, it was noted to be that this particular manuscript and book that when published was the trigger for the civil rights movement. It was a deep reality of the movement. And James never bit his tongue. He didn't hold his tongue for anybody. And I think it's important that when we have moments like this, I mean, our very mission in this place is to be courageous, so we can hold various tensions. And I invite us to hold this tension with James. I invite us to hold this tension with Olivia as we think about making light out of dark situations, sitting with our fears, sitting with our nightmares. And one of the particular things that on page 8 for Fire Next Time, James Baldwin says the following: you were born where you were born, and faced the future that you face because you were Black and for no other reason. The limits of your ambitions were thus expected to be set forever. You were born into a society which spelled out the brutal clarity, and in as many ways as possible that you were worthless human. You were a worthless human being. How do we make light out of dark situations? You were not expected, he continues, to aspire to excellence. You were not expected to make peace with the mediocrity. You were expected to make peace with the mediocrity. Wherever you have turned, James, in a short time on this earth. You have been told where you could go, what you could do, and how you could do it, and where you could live, and whom you could marry. And all of this is an inheritance of oppression, systems of oppression. How do we make light out of dark situations? James writes this letter to his nephew to communicate the effects of a past and a history that many people of color are familiar with when we bring race into the equation, and particularly the power of discrimination. He unpacks and explains to his nephew that he's also like his grandfather who had passed, particularly stating that his grandfather lived a terrible life. And at the bottom of his heart, he really believed what white people said about him. It's a very interesting story in the letter that James is writing to his nephew, because he's giving him a backdrop around struggle, giving him a backdrop around survival, giving him a backdrop of anguish, giving him a backdrop of pain. But how do we make light of situations? How do we make light of situations? He teaches his nephew something that I thought I would love to share with all of you, and which is the power of making light out of darkness really comes with being able to accept that darkness can be a teacher as well. That in the midst of the struggle, there is something to be gleaned. There is something to be learned. There is something to be dealt with. There is something to be approached, confronted. And it doesn't mean that the darkness has to consume you if you decide to go ahead and approach it with your eyes wide open. Darkness is only the absence of light, scientists would say. But for those who are constantly looking for the light at the end of the tunnel, for those who are looking at twilights in the sky, for those who are hoping, they are building their light. And building their light in dark situations. It all requires a vision. Visions are not the moments where we just accept things as they are. We accept them for what they can be. Vision gives us the opportunity to allow for us to look at the current situations that we are in and create a new framework of acceptance that is radical acceptance, looking at the whole entire experience and the situation within the framework of becoming. These are the degrees of free, if I may play off of our dear poet. The degrees of free are different tiers of becoming, different tiers and moments within the tunnel and areas of the tunnel that we have not yet reached. But the closer we get to making changes and shifts, making progress out of the oppression, making success out of all of the misery, and conquering issues that we would have never thought, conquering injustice for the sake of more justice, conquering hate, love. We're getting to a place where we don't have to always just look at it as it is. Why do I say that? Because Baldwin reminds us and talks to his nephew in this letter saying, there is no reason for you to become like white people. He gives him his pride back. He gives him back the moment to be himself. You don't have to be anybody else, is what he is saying. You don't have to be like what your mother was. You don't have to be like what your father was. You don't have to be anyone else but you. There is no basis for it because you have the ability to have a radical acceptance to change that. He says there's no basis for any negative assumptions that you must accept. The really terrible thing, oh buddy, is that you must accept them, as he refers to white people. But he goes on further and he says, and I mean that very seriously. This acceptance is very, very important to Baldwin because he's interested in the becoming of the acceptance. He's interested in a radical acceptance here. And he says, I mean it very seriously. You must accept them. And here's the radical part, and accept them with love. Out of all the things that you're going through, out of all the people you're going to run into, after all the circumstances, can you do your best to accept it with love? Can you affirm your process even in life, even in when you have an argument, a disagreement with somebody you care about deeply? Can you get to a place where you accept them in love? That kind of acceptance with love attached to it is called affirmation. There's a big difference between acceptance and affirmation. When we do that work of radical acceptance, we get affirmations. And this is why he says, for these innocent people have no other hope. He's asking us to be a light. He's asking his nephew to be a light. He has this moment where it's like, look, you came here on Sunday and you're here. And in the end, when you step out, can you be the light at the end of the tunnel? Can you be somebody else's degree of free? Can you arrive and actually show your becoming in the process? And honestly, show up unapologetically within your becoming. They are, in effect, as he says, still trapped in a history which they do not understand, and understanding it, they cannot be released from it. Ooh, that's forgiveness. How many of us need to forgive ourselves? How many of us need to just let go of that, right? How many of us need to sit in spaces where we haven't had the conversations, the tough conversations, because we're really not ready to let go of the pride or the ego, or sometimes just the pain? That is an act of the procrastination that our dear poet was talking about. Because we have not decided to help others in our process of also releasing. When I'm released, you can be released. I stress the importance of what Baldwin says here as an act of commitment. Baldwin says to act is to be committed. To be committed is to be in danger. Come on, Valley. We're courageous people. That's why we can have these conversations. We just had a very tough introduction to where we travel into a committed, dangerous place when we decide to actually be courageous together. In this case, there is a danger in thinking that we may lose our identity. Baldwin says, in this case, the danger in the minds of most white Americans is the loss of identity. We are scared to lose sometimes having can I be personal? Can I be institutional? We are scared as ethical culture sometimes to even welcome anybody of a different trajectory and sometimes a different thought because we are so scared of losing our identity. But if Baldwin is offering us an opportunity for us to be multicultural, Baldwin is offering us an opportunity to really sit with a radical acceptance, regardless of the different perspectives and different points of views. We can come into this space and sharing a wisdom together where love meets wisdom together and works on an affirmation together that says we are here to be courageous together, that we're going to get in trouble together, that we are going to be in danger together. And I'm going to stand beside you and you're going to stand beside me. And as we go through this process, we'll find light in dark situations. It all requires commitment. It just deeply requires commitment. We have to look at where we have been putting our energy. We've been more committed possibly to the procrastination. We've been more committed to the nicotine. We've been more committed. But darkness is not all around us. We have the ability through that process to never lose identity. If you ever looked at a flame, when one flame is lit, it dances by itself. When another flame comes and joins it, it gets bigger. You add another flame, it gets bigger. And the dance of the flames are just as big. And it produces and illuminates the experience. And what happens with these flames, at the same time as they are dancing, the other thing that is very beautiful, if we know anything about fire, we know that it requires a breathing tactic. It requires oxygen so that it can feed. And a lot of us have not begun to breathe each other in. And we're not willing to always breathe each other in because they're so different. And unfortunately, we get scorched. And we start scorching others because we've been burnt. But if we just took the opportunity to breathe each other in, we might be more light in dark situations. And we might just dance our way out of the tunnel. And we might just go ahead. And if we know how to share breaths, after a while, we start just growing in light. And we start just actually not burning each other. We start actually burning away the trouble that just starts happening. And so there is a thing that we need to start practicing as we dance, as we breathe, as we come into this courage, we start actually working out and finding the light as a community in dark situations. We don't lose our identity. We work it out. I thank you, Olivia, for your words today. And I'm so glad to be in this community with all of you and the people who are joining us from all over. I see every last one of you, and I am thrilled. Y'all strengthen my heart. Y'all really strengthen my heart. It's so good to see some flames in this place. It's so good in the midst of these boxes are flames for me in the midst of this dark little screen. I love it. And I love y'all. Patty, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Jay, I share that as I was watching, everyone on the screen and feeling too that true sense of community that we are building here in this room right now. Though we're in the virtual world, we have Nancy here with us, and my husband with us. And we are the light.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yep.
We are. And again, just feeling the embrace. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. I think, what we're going to do, we're going to close and then we're going to stay on for anyone who wants to share thoughts on what we had here this afternoon. So Phyllis has some closing words for us.
I'd like to close with these words. Go out into the world knowing that freedom is the power to dominate what dominates you. Go be the justice you lack. Go be the power you feel. Go be the compassion all thirst for. Go emboldened by the power of the human spirit. Go creating freedom.
Thank you, Phyllis. Perfect closing words. Again, you hit it right on, Phyllis. Okay, so we're going to open for anybody who would like to share with us. I will stop the recording so that we feel more free to share our thoughts here today.